Hey guys! Welcome to Free Tutorial TV and Python tutorial for beginner. In this video I'm going to show you how you can create a text file in Python and write in it. So let's get started. So to start with, we use a built-in function which is open and it takes two arguments. First is the name of the file which we want to create or read. So let's say I want to just create a file which is then open demo.txt in the same folder in which I'm working in. So you can see I'm working in my file handling project and there is only one file there which is test.py, and this demo.txt file will be created in the same folder. Now the second argument which we want to give here is the mode. So there are several types of modes which we can use with this open function to work with the files. So let me show you the list of some of these modes. So you can see on the left hand side I have listed the modes. So you can use the RRR plus or WRW plus or A or B. Now R is used to read from the file. And if you don't provide any mode to this function, then the default mode is that read the mode. Now if you want to write to a file, you use this write mode with the keyword W. So we are going to use this W keyword in order to write to the file. So let's use this W keyword here, and then this open function returns a file object. Select store this file object into a variable. Now generally we call this file object our file handler, and using this file handler we can work with the file on which we are working on. So this file handler will be used to work on this file which we want to create. In the next line, I will just use this file handler and then I can call some method here. You can see that is a list of method I can call on this file handler which is written on the by this open function. So to write into a file I can use the write function, and here inside the write function you can provide any text whatever you want to write to the file. So let's say I just want to write this line of string to my text file which I'm creating, so I can just paste the text here, and then after writing to a file, when you're finished working with the file, you use once again this fh and then call a method to call close on it. Now what does this close function do? So this close function is used to close the file and immediately free up any system resources used by your file handler, which is fh, and it's a good practice to use this whenever you are done with the handling of your file. So always remember to use this close function after you are done with the handling of your file. So this is a good practice, but I would say you must call this function. And that's it. So this W mod, if the file demo.txt doesn't exist, it's going to create the file. And then it's going to write this text into the file, so that W mode is responsible for creating the file also. And if the file already exists, it will override the previous string by the string which you are writing using this write function. So let me just run this code and you will keep an eye on this project, because this file will be created inside this project. So I'm going to right click and then run this test file, and you will see as soon as I run this test file, there is one more file created here. It is demo.txt. And when I click on this file, you can see the same text appears here, which we have written using the write function. Now if you want to provide the line breaks, you can provide them using \n. And I'm going to once again run the code. So remember, when the file doesn't exist, the W mode is going to create the file. And if the file already exists, which it does now, then it's going to override it. So I'm going to run the program once again and see the content of this demo.txt, and you can see this string is split into two, which is done by this \, and so let me just split the screen so you will see that demo in real time. So on the right hand side I have my demo.txt file, and on the left hand side I have the code on which I am working on. So let's write something else in this file. So instead of writing this big line of text into the file, what I want to do now is I want to use a for loop to print 10 lines into this demo.txt file. So I'm going to use for loop for that. and I'm going to just write for I in range, and let's say The range is 10 and then we call our write function using this fh file handler. And then what I want to do right here is, let's say this is line number modulus t, and I will just replace this mode d with the line number, and then I will just provide a line break after that. And in the previous videos we have already seen that when you use this modulo symbol and then give us some value here, for example I, then this mode d will be replaced by I. Right. So let's run the code and let's see what happens. Now I'm going to run this code, and now you will see that this code prints. This is line number 0. This is line number 1 because the range starts from 0. So in order to print the line number from 1, what we can do here is we can use this parenthesis here. Let me just move this to the side. So inside the parenthesis we can use the last one, so we can add 1. Every time this value is printed, so it will start from 1. So let's run the code once again, and you can see now it prints this line number 1, line number 2, 3, 4 up to 10. Now you might have already observed that whenever I run the code, this demo.txt file is overwritten every time when I run this code. So the older text is overridden by the new text. Now in order to avoid the overwriting of the text, what we can do is we can use a special mode which is A here. And A stands for append, and the mode is used to append the text to the file. So let's replace this W mode with A mode now. OK. And you can see this is the previous content of the demo.txt file, and now and I run the code, you will see the previous content is staying there and the new content is appended to the same file. So if we use to append to the existing content of the file, let me go to the list of modes once again. And you will see there is a special mode W+ also, which means if you want to read and write at the same time, you use this W+ mode. And this mode is going to create a new file if the file doesn't exist. Otherwise a file already exists. It's going to overwrite to the file which already exists. Also you will see a special mode B here, which is used for the binary files such as images or other binary file. This up and up plus more we will see in the next video, and I'm going to show you how to read from the file using these modes in Python in the next video. So let's go to our code once again. And in the videos in which I have shown you how to use exception handling, I told you we can use try. But finally keyword would try, and we can close this for loop inside the try block, and let's do this. And then in the finally we can add the closing of this file. And what does this finally do? If you remember, this finally block is always called. In that case the exception is thrown by this code, or if an exception is not thrown. So this fh.close is definitely will be called whenever we use this finally keyword. In order to call the fh.close function, so you can either use this kind of code in order to work with your file handler, and then use this close function with this file handler at the end of the handling of the file. Otherwise Python provide the shorter form of writing the same type of notation. And this notation is, you use a keyword with and then you call open function. And you can provide the same type of argument here, for example that demo.txt and append. And then you use as keyword and then you write the name of the file handler, for example fh, as you have done here, and then you provide the colon. And inside this red statement you work with your code. For example, we work with the file writing with this for loop. So this whole code including the try and finally a block is equivalent to this kind of code, which is the shorter form of writing the same code. So this with statement is going to always call this close method that your file handler when you are done with the handling of your file. So you don't need to explicitly call this try finally block in order to work with your file. This is enough to work with the file. So either use this notation or this notation, both are equivalent to each other. Now the last thing which I want to show here is that we just use the with statement in order to work with this demo.txt file is. For example, you don't want to create this demo.txt file into the current project. Instead you want to create this file into some folder on your computer. So let's say I want to create this file inside this folder, which is inside my C directory, so I can just copy this whole path from here, and then I can just paste this path with the backslash here. And the important thing to note here is on Windows you always need to use that double backslashes in order to provide the file path. Okay. So use this double backslashes to provide the file path. So see, inside the C directory I have this files folder, and inside the file folder right now you can see this is empty. And now when I run this code, let me just change the mode to the W, which is for the write mode, and I'm going to run the code, and as soon as I run the code, this demo that the file is created here, and you can also see the content of the file on the right side, which is this is line 1 up to this is line number 10. So this is how you can create a text file and write into it using Python. In the next video I'm going to show you how to read from a file and work with the content of the file. I hope you have learned something new this time. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe the channel. Have a nice day. See you in next video.